today, but we do have some slides to get through. You guys wanna hop into some research?
Let's do it.
Cool. Very cool piece from Sahil if you want to give him a follow over on X. But we're going to be looking at VIX expansions and contractions and like understanding the mechanics of those in a bit more detail. Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so first slide. So 2026 has been kind of a lot of chop, a lot of volatility this year. Several sharp VIX moves, including a surge from 14 to 34, 20 points in 59 trading days, followed by a contraction in 20 trading days, which is unusual. Usually you have much more rapid expansion and then a much longer contraction. So we kind of saw an inversion of that this year, which has been very interesting volatility behavior. But we obviously, as traders know that like depending on where the VIX is currently at, that changes some of the behavior and some of the dynamics. So we wanted to take a look at how basically we're going to be using 5-point moves in the VIX within a 30-day period, what those dynamics kind of look like over time. Make sense?
Yeah, it's usually elevator up and stairs down, and it was definitely a little bit different this time around.
Kind of an inverted flip, which we can actually, or an inverted curve, which we can kind of see on the next slide, actually. So we see that like typically the volatility index, like the VIX is what we're going to use here, is sensitive to downward movement in the index. So when the index kind of goes down, we see volatility go up and that sort of relationship. And here we're seeing, an inversion of what we typically see when we have a big VIX expansion. The VIX going up to 30, it's not the highest point of the range, but it's very unusual for the VIX to get to those high levels. And typically what we see is a much sharper contraction over a shorter period of time, followed by a longer expansion for a longer period of time. And here we kind of saw the reverse in 2026, for a variety of reasons, but definitely unusual volatility behavior. And we wanted to understand sort of historically when we zoom out and go back to 2025, what do VIX expansion and contraction mechanics kind of look like? Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was talking about this with E yesterday. I mean, it feels like we've had 3 years in one. Like it does. When you look at this again, it was April, and there was June, and then there's now.
Yeah, and I started trading in 2020. I feel like we've had every market 2 times over since then. We've had crashes, bear markets, bull runs, and it's all just been very short-term or short-lived. So it's, very good learning experience trading throughout that time. But this year in particular has been quite unusual because of that volatility expansion contraction dynamics kind of being flipped around. So if we go to the next slide, we got our study here. So here we're going to be looking a little bit longer term than just 2026, but we're going to be looking at 2005 to 2025. And we're going to be looking over 7-day rolling periods. We're going to be looking at expansions and contractions over those timeframes to understand that when the VIX is at current levels, or whatever the current levels are, when the VIX is in a specific range, what behaviors are most common over those 7-day rolling periods. And critically here, we're going to be excluding events that are kind of part of the same event. So for example, if the VIX is at 13.5 on one day and 13.8 on the next day, and both kind of spike to 18 as their peak over that, 7 to 8 day period, then we're going to be treating that as one event. So here we're not going to be repeating events, repeating occurrences. We're going to be looking at them independently of one another. And then we're going to be looking at sort of like the swings that happen around those 5-point moves and some very interesting statistics that Sahil put together. Make sense?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Cool. I love this graph. This is a cool graph. So here we're looking at these 7-day cycles, and we're going to be looking at sort of like the count of expansions and contractions over time throughout the different years, as well as the average VIX levels. And this to me is a really nice visual of volatility clustering, what we tend to see together, where typically we have kind of a baseline number of expansions and contractions throughout the years. Usually, a lot of the time we have quieter periods, but then when volatility escalates, those escalations and those high volatility periods tend to cluster together. All those large moves tend to cluster together. It's pretty unusual to have a large move kind of in isolation. And I think this exemplifies that really nicely, where we can see 2008, we're having significant clusters of expansions and contractions sort of around those periods. And then, 2010 as well, we see some of that emergence, as well as 2020, and then in between those periods, kind of calmness. And I think this is just a very nice visual for kind of showing that.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting way to see exactly what the point that they're putting across is, and really just looking at the larger price moves and really the rebounds we've had, I think, have been the result of the VIX staying compressed through this longer period of time, especially in the last couple of months.
It's funny when you've been around a long time, though, you see some of these dots, you know exactly what they are.
You know
like
exactly what they are.
the VIX, the apocalypse or whatever in February 2018. That's that dot up there.
That's that big dot right there.
Uh-huh. And the
Some
one on
interesting.
2015 is August of 2015, the Chinese yuan situation that happened. That's the highest dot on that board. I'm pretty sure of it.
Mhm.
And I don't know what that 2011 one is. Is that Fukushima? Might be the Fukushima volcano at the top there in 2011, I think. And then 2010 is
Yeah.
probably the May flash crash. Sorry to take us over. It's just fun. It's just like,
No, that is
it's fun to
yeah.
look back.
And you can see that again as like average VIX levels kind of increase. And that's what that blue line is, kind of looking at like the average rolling VIX levels. We can see that with the VIX levels comes an increased frequency of expansions and contractions. And what I found very interesting about this is that the number of expansions and the number of contractions are pretty close to parity. So you just get a lot of everything during those high volatility events. It's the same with price moves. When you have like large moves to the downside, like very large moves in the S&P, that usually comes with some of the largest moves recorded to the upside as well. So you really get a mix of kind of everything during those high volatility periods.
Yeah. And then COVID 2020 was where the entire VIX market was elevated for a long period of time in that 2025 range. And that was like the one and only time where we've experienced that, where you just had a 25 VIX for like the entire year.
Mm-hmm.
That might be, I have to double check this, but the only time that we saw a 30% sell off in like the Russell, for example, and then a 30% rebound within like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That was, that was the whipsaw. That was nuts. But market's different every day. And if we go to the next slide, so what we can see here, this I think is an interesting case to support sort of like the levels of the VIX. So here we're going to be looking at 7-day periods, and when the VIX is basically starting out within some of these ranges, 10 to 13, 13 to 16, and so on. What we can see is that when you're at 10 to 13 of a VIX, there's kind of nowhere to go but up. It can go lower than that, but typically over 7-day periods, this is where you're seeing more contractions expansions tend to happen. And then as you kind of go up, in terms of the VIX levels, this is when specifically around like the 22 to 25 range, you start to see like kind of a 50-50 split between expansions and contractions. And another interesting behavior is that the duration, noting that we're using 7-day windows, the average duration of those expansions and contractions gets smaller the higher the VIX goes. Again, with like the increased volatility, that also means that like time frames for some of these market behaviors tends to decrease. And just being, quick thinking kind of comes in very handy during those conditions.
And this chart is the reason why I'm planning to close the AMD strangle and the Intel strangle and the SMH strangle and the BE strangle next week, Tuesday, before VIX expiration of August.
Mm-hmm.
There you have it.
And there you have it. And then when you get up to VIX of 25, this is when contractions become much more likely than expansions. Although we know in those very small percent of cases, it can go up significantly higher. It really depends on the conditions, but the conditions required to make that happen is really just like a perfect cocktail of kind of everything going wrong at the same time. Does not happen very much. So the VIX can absolutely continue to go up at 25 and can go up to whatever the recorded max is. I think like 92. But generally unlikely. Once you get up to 25, when we're looking at like aggregate occurrences, that's when contractions become much more likely. Noting that like when the VIX is up to those levels of 25, that's when also the duration of a lot of these occurrences on average tends to go down, becomes much more rapid, I guess you could say.
100%. And that's when we like to get into products like SVXY, playing for a reversal in VIX levels in like a defined risk way. I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, noting those conditions don't come around very often. And that's part of why like capital preservation, especially when VIX is low, is important, such that like when, the VIX does get to those richer premium levels, then you have more spare capital to allocate within those conditions. So this I also found to be a very interesting result. But here we're basically looking at 7, 15, and 30-day cycles, so different time frames for the VIX cycles. And what's very interesting is that when there is a 50-50 chance of an expansion or contraction contraction, that is around an average VIX level of 20 to 21, regardless of what time frame you use. Noting that these are averages, but those kinds of levels, when the VIX is around 2021, looking at these different window sizes, that's approximately when, on average, your probability of an expansion or contraction becomes a coin flip, more or less.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where you want to be playing the waiting game anyways, see where it goes and then make a decision from there.
Yeah. However, that being said, that when you get into the 30-day cycles, when you're looking over longer time frames, i.e., when you're putting strategies in over longer durations or making longer time assumptions, such as like 30 days, for example, I guess you could say like the periodicity or the time frame of that kind of volatility structure becomes longer, which can create more opportunities potentially, but that's also more time commitment for things to potentially go not in your favor, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So that average VIX level, I thought was very interesting, that being consistent across different windows, whether you're looking at 7 days, 15 days, or 30 days. That average VIX of around 20 to 21 is when like the probability of an expansion or contraction becomes roughly the same. So really interesting study, kind of breaking down the mechanics of the VIX from Sahil. We can go to the takeaways now. But yes. So the VIX has had some very interesting behavior in 2026, kind of unusual from typical behaviors. So as the VIX increases, there usually comes with larger price moves. We've seen that historically, and also a larger number of expansions and contractions, and just generally more opportunity for volatility traders as that average VIX does go up. However, when the average VIX level does increase, that generally shrinks the sort of duration that you can expect for some of those volatility behaviors. That I thought was very interesting. And then as well, when the VIX is around 20, regardless of what timeframes that we kind of looked at within the study, there's around a 50-50 chance of experiencing a spike or a drop. Noting that those are averages. And also like the speed of the move, which we didn't talk about here, can also change those dynamics a little bit. So just some things to keep in mind.
Yeah. And using the VIX as that barometer, realizing, when the VIX is super low, it can stay low for a long period of time. But when it does increase in a big way, you can expect to see normally a swift reversal, but you can utilize different products to express that assumption.
Right. And just noting that like current VIX levels will obviously like to change the behavior of the VIX. The market tries very hard to suppress volatility, doesn't like volatility. When volatility goes up, a lot of forces kind of work together to try to make it go down in most cases, noting that, there can be sort of like rare exceptions to that, such as in black swan events. However, keeping that in mind, especially when choosing duration, when you're making volatility assumptions, is very important. So this is kind of a lesson as well in choosing a duration and sort of the time commitment that you're willing to put into a trade relative to where vol is at and where you can expect it to go.
Love it. Beautiful work.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think that's all I got.
Cool. Appreciate you. See you, Lily.
Thank you,
a
guys.
little bit later. Absolutely.
See you later.
Bye.
Peace.